You ever notice how some guns feel like they're on your side until they're not? The Beretta 1301 is one of those. Sleek, fast, and absolutely vicious in the best way when you respect it, but the moment you don't know its quirks, this shotgun will clown you. And it won't wait until a slow Saturday at the range. It'll pick the worst moment when your heart is thumping, when you can't afford a jam, a fumble, or a bang you never meant to send. Here's what we're doing today. We're going to make the 1301 predictable. I'm walking you through the mistakes that burn people, the fixes that actually work, and the habits that turn this thing from temperamental into automatic weapon. If you own one, you're going to leave with a checklist you can train tomorrow. If you're shopping, you'll know exactly what to look for. First things first, loading quirks. Imagine you're moving fast. You thumb a shell into the tube. It springs back out and hops onto the lifter like it's mocking you. Now your lifter's occupied. The tube's blocked, and the only way out is to run that round through the chamber. That's done as classic Gen 1 behavior thanks to the older lifter geometry. Beretta later introduced the Pro Lifter that stays up and out of the way. If your gun is older and still has the original lifter, know that this can happen when you rush. Slow the push, feel the rim, pass the shell stop, and then give it a decisive final nudge. No, we're going to keep you from creating your own malfunction during an emergency port load. You're dry. Bolt is locked open. You toss a shell into the port, smack the release, and the bolt stops a hair short of battery. From the shooting bench, it looks closed. It isn't. Press the trigger and you get the loneliest sound in gun culture. Click. This is almost always a finger, a knuckle, or a thumbnail inside the bolt's path. The fix is a habit. When you hit the bolt release, your loading hand moves forward and down. Get flesh out of that lane and let the bolt run. Train it slow until the movement feels boring. Let's zoom out for 10 seconds so the rest of this makes sense. Every time the 1301 fires, the lifter drops. The shell stop blinks out of the way. A round pops onto the lifter. The empty flies. Lifter snaps up. Bolt drives the new shell home. It happens so fast it almost looks fake. That speed is why the gun wins, and also why sloppy hands get punished instantly. Respect the timing and you'll swear this thing reads your mind. Here's where we set it up for home defense without turning the gun into a liability. The plan is cursor ready, chamber empty, tube full, one shell staged down the lifter by pressing the carrier stop. Safety on. With the setup, all you do under stress is rip the handle once and you're live. If the 1301 lives by your bed or in a safe, this is the way to stage it so it's fast to take action and calm the store. Now we're going to unload it without playing movie star. Cycling around through the chamber looks cool and teaches bad lessons. The clean method is simple. Reach into the loading port, press the shell stop, and ease each round out of the tube. You control the movement, there's no brass, rain, and your chamber stays empty the whole time. If you have an older 1301, you might have heard about pressing the rear of the bolt release to kick shells from the tube. That existed, and it also caused accidental double feeds if you brushed it. Many owners added a shroud to prevent surprises. Later guns changed the geometry. Know which version you have and unload with the shell stop, not a party trick. Time to talk about squeezing one more round in ghost loading. This is where the 1301 either makes you look brilliant or makes you look silly. The idea? Chamber full, tube full, plus one shell sitting on the lifter. On the platform it's possible, but you earn it with reps. The choreography is the key. Pull the handle all the way back and hold. Place the shell into the chamber by hand. Let the bolt travel forward just a fraction. Press the second shell down into the lifter. Then let the bolt close completely. If you rush the half forward step, the bolt face picks up the lifter shell at the wrong time and you end up out of the battery. If you're competing, the extra round can matter. Or defense, only run it if you've drilled until the steps happen without thought. Now, we're shifting to ammo swaps, the fast way to go from buck to slug. Maybe you've expected a short hallway, but the threat is further. Buck opens up too quickly. You need a single projectile. You could stuff a slug into the tube and cycle out buck until the slug arrives. That costs time. The slick method is a port load. Bolt open, support the gun, feed a slug into the chamber, hit the release, and you're instantly extended. It sounds easy. It is easy when you've rehearsed the hand position so the lifter doesn't fight you. Build the motion slow, add speed later. Staying with emergency loads for one more minute. If the gun is empty and you need it alive yesterday, a clean port load is king. Whichever technique you favor, over the top, underhand, or violin, commit to one and make the hand path identical every rep. The biggest cause of the almost closed bolt is a wandering hand that tries to slap the latch from too close to the handle. Move the hand forward first, then press. If you run a receiver-mounted match saver, test it under stress. Those little carriers make the first shell fast and sometimes makes the second shell awkward by crowding your workspace. If you like it, keep it, but prove it in training with a timer and a camera so you can fix those fumbles. We need a hard talk about negligent discharges. Because at 1301 speed tempts people into shortcuts. Two repeat offenders show up in classes. The first, at the signal, safety comes off and the finger lands on the trigger before the sights catch up. That's an early bang into dirt, wall, or worse. The curse is metal and mechanical. Safety swipe is one task, trigger press is a separate task, and they never overlap. The second, fingers sliding into the trigger guard during reloads, especially with that violin-style technique. The prevention is boring and brilliant. Bring the hand back under the receiver, not alongside it. Make a flipper with your non-trigger hand, keep three fingers together, and steer it under the action on the return. Drill that exact path so the finger never kisses the guard by accident. Now we're going to save you from a stoppage and you won't believe until you cause it. When this shotgun cycles, the lifter drops below the receiver to catch the next shell. If your support hand, a bag, a bench edge, anything blocks that drop, the gun starves itself. You get a dead trigger and no new round. Shooters discover this while shooting prone or off a rest. Fix is rule of thumb simple. Nothing touches or crowds the loading port unless you're actively loading. Give the lifter room to breathe. Let's talk generation so you don't inherit someone else's headache. Early 1301s had a comically large bolt release. You could brush accidentally. Do that at the wrong time and you feed two shells onto the lifter. Clearing that double is ugly and slow. Owners complain. The factory addressed it. Gen 2 guns ship with a corrected release. Those early guns also wore a plastic rail over the receiver. Mounting optics on a plastic is a short story with a bad ending. Later guns replaced it with aluminum. One more upgrade worth checking. Choke threads at the muzzle. Gen 2 barrels accept screw-in chokes, which gives you pattern control for buck and flexibility for slugs or shot. If you're buying used, look for the metal rail and threaded muzzle or budget for fixes. Left-handed shooters, quick win for you. The safety can be reversed. It lives ahead of the trigger guard and can be swapped so off-safe favors your thumb. Small charge, big comfort. It's one of those details that makes the gun feel like it was built for you rather than making you work around it. Under the hood, two design choices turn this shotgun into a cheat code: the gas system and the barrel. Beretta's blink system cycles so quickly that most shooters can't outrun it. That's not ad copy. It's the reason split times with this platform feel almost unfair compared to old inertia guns. Then there's a black bored barrel. By cutting the bore slightly larger, the shot package deforms less on the way out. Less deformation means patterns that stay together and slugs that stay straight. While recoils feel tamer than you'd expect from a lightweight semi-auto, you feel both benefits on the timer and on your shoulder. Now, we're going to curb the urge to bolt on everything you saw on social. Those Magpul stocks and long handguards do look mean. The catch, the 1301 doesn't accept them without adapters from Oritis Industries. Without the right hardware, you stare at parts that don't fit and wonder why. The gun runs wonderfully in factory trim. If you want the aftermarket look and ergonomics, plan the adapters into your budget and install list from the start. Training plans. This is how you bake all of this into muscle memory. Build 5 short drills and keep them on repeat. Cruiser to first shot. Stage gun on a table. Clear chamber. Shell on lifter. Tube full. Safety on. On the beep, rack, mount. One clean hit. Focus on a firm rack and a clean safety press separated from your trigger brake. Emergency port load. Start bolt lock back. No rounds in the tube. 1 round in your loading hand. On the beep, port load to a hit. Film your hand path. If the bolt hangs over once, slow down and correct the finger travel. Slug swap. Begin with buck in the tube. On command, slug lock open. Port load a slug, 1 precise hit at distance. Add back to buck if you want to rehearse returning to your original plan. Go slowed setup. Cold hands, no rush. Perform the sequence exactly. Chamber by hand. Ease bolt a fraction. Place lift around. Let it close. Verify by cycling 1. If this ever fails in practice, downgrade your plan. Capacity is useless if it breaks reliability. Unload clean. From a fully loaded tube, press the shell stop to remove each round with control. In with a visual and tactical check of the chamber, lifter tube. This builds habits you'll use at home and on the line. Mindset matters. Confidence with the 1301 comes from solving the same few problems until they're boring. Overconfidence is skipping reps because it'll be fine. This shotgun rewards discipline and exposes ego. If you keep your moments small, consistent, and repeatable, it will feel like magic. If you improvise under stress, it'll write a lesson on your forehead. Here's where we are now. You know how to stage it safely, load it cleanly, swap to a Slug without wasting time, recover from empty, avoid finger-induced malfunctions, and keep the lifter clear while it feeds. You know the Gen 1 traps and the Gen 2 upgrades. You know the adapter reality for fancy furniture. That's the difference between owning a 1301 and mastering it. So, what do you do next? You grab 3 snap caps and a shot timer app, and you run those 5 drills for 15 minutes twice a week. Smooth the rough edges until your hands stop arguing with your brain. You keep the loading port lane clear, you separate safety from trigger, you make the port load boring, and then you go confirm with live fire so the timing isn't a surprise. Before we wrap, 2 quick pro tips that save headaches. 1. When you're learning, keep your support hand thumbnail trim. It's amazing how many mystery out-of-battery moments are really a thumbnail gazing the bolt. 2. If you shoot from odd positions, seat behind cover, prone in a match, do a dry run first solely to check that nothing under the receiver interferes with the lifter. 5 seconds of rehearsal prevents a dead trigger when the clock is live. Here's my ask to you. If you run a 1301, drop the one lesson you learned the hard way in the comments. The story you share today might be the reason someone else don't eat a jam tomorrow. And if this breakdown helped, hit subscribe. The next video might be one that saves you a stage or something far more important. So stay sharp, keep your hands clear, make every motion honest. Do that and the Beretta 1301 will stop being a shotgun and start feeling like a decision you already made. Fast, controlled, and ready when it counts.